Wren. Welcome to Flip It, where we take something everyone is sure they know, and we turn it all the way around. Today's is a good one. You've definitely heard this story before. Here's the thing about facts. A fact can be completely true and still not tell you the whole story. Sometimes the story you've been told is missing a piece. Not because anyone lied to you, but because every story has someone telling it. And whoever tells the story gets to decide where it begins. Today, we're going to look at a story everyone has heard before. And we're going to ask a question nobody asked you to ask. In 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue. You know the rhyme. You know the story. He discovered America. But let's sit with that word for a second. Discovered. Here's my question. Can you discover a place that already has people living in it? Millions of them? People with homes and names and families and stories of their own? Think about that. If you walked into a room full of people and announced you'd discovered it, what would they say? That little question changes everything about the story. And once you start asking it, you can't stop. So come with me. Let's flip this all the way over and see what the other side looks like. Let's start with the story you know. Columbus sailed across the ocean, landed in a new place, and discovered America. That's how it's been told for a very long time. And here's something interesting. That version of the story was told mostly by the people who came after Columbus, the people who built countries here. When you're the one telling the story, you usually make yourself the hero. That's not evil. It's just human. But it means the story got told from one direction, looking out from the ships. Now, here's the flip. What if we turned the camera around and looked back at those ships from the shore? Because there were people already standing on that shore, millions of them. They had cities. They had farms and roads and art and languages and grandparents who told them stories for thousands of years before any ship arrived. So think about the word discover again. When you discover something, it means nobody knew it was there. But these lands weren't empty. They were full of people living full lives. To them, nothing was discovered that day. Something arrived. And those are completely different words, aren't they? Discovered tells you one story. Arrived tells you a much bigger one. Same day, same ships. Totally different truth, depending on who's telling it. So here's the tool you take with you, and you can use it on everything for the rest of your life. Whenever someone tells you a story about the past, ask one simple question. Whose point of view is this told from? And then the follow-up. Who is missing from this story? Not because the story is a lie, but because every story has a narrator, and every narrator stands in one spot looking one direction. The more you ask, who's missing, the more of the whole picture you start to see. That's what it means to flip it. You don't throw away the story you were told. You just walk around to the other side and look again. So, same ships, same day, but a very different story depending on who's telling it. The book you read wasn't lying to you. It just showed you one side of the page. Your job from now on is to remember there's always another side. Here's your question for the week. Think of something you've been told is true and ask whose side it's told from. Then bring it to the dinner table tonight. Watch what happens when you ask a grown-up who's missing from the story. Next week, we flip another fact you've never thought twice about. Subscribe so you're here when we do. Remember, there's always another side. See you next time.